Could Bitcoin drop into 23K this September? The double top formation breaking down does look like it will confirm that. But we also have to talk about the September single digit drawdown that we tend to see historically. Will history repeat? Because if it does, then we'll see confluence with that double top. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about volume as well as the bull market EMAs that were recently lost. So subscribe to the channel and let's dive right into today's video. So we know that Bitcoin is forming a potential double topping formation, this being the first top, this being the second top, and we've seen a drawdown of 16% for the month of August. And if we actually see this double top formation break down from 26k like we spoke about earlier this month in August 6th, if we see a breakdown from 26k, we'll see a drop into 22k. And the way to think about this is that we are down 16% this August, and if you look about August drawdowns, this is one of the worst drawdowns in the history of all Augusts, only really comparing with the 18% and 17% of 2014 and 2015. And I think 2015 is much more relevant in this case because this is also a pre-halving year, 2023, and it looks like 16% this month. Well, it's very similar to the 18% that we're seeing in the worst August drawdown of all time, 2015. So a drawdown of 18%, so an additional drawdown of 2% would see us drop into 24,700. So it would be around here and would equal the lows, the downside wicking lows that we saw in mid-June before we saw a price reversal. At the moment, we are seeing downside wicking much like mid-June, so holding here will invalidate this double top, because if this 26k region breaks down and we see this turn into a new resistance and maybe even weekly close below here, that's going to kickstart the double top process and we'll probably see a breakdown. But in the meantime, we could actually see downside wicking, much like we saw in mid-June, but we'd need to talk about volume before that happens. And the reason I plotted a minus 10% drawdown from a potential 24k region, that would essentially assume a September single drawdown retracement, because typically we tend to see single digit figures across Septembers. We tend to see sometimes positive months, sometimes negative, and predominantly negative months. You can see here mostly single digit negative months. We do get the odd 19% and the odd 13%. But if we think about things in a reasonable scenario where we see a 10% drawdown, so just a bit more than single digits, then this would get us to 22k, which is interesting because it ties in with the target of the double top. So breaking down from the double top formation, so losing 26k and turning 26k into a resistance, we'd see a drop into 22k. That's the measured move of this double top formation, and it's interesting how a September drawdown of 10% would see confluence with that double top measured move breakdown. And if you're enjoying this video, feel free to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future, and of course leave a like, as it really helps with the algorithm and helps this channel grow. So could Bitcoin actually reverse from here and invalidate the double top? Well, we have to talk about this volume right over here, because this mid-June price reversal, we saw this occur on relatively high sell side volume right over here before we finally saw strong buy side pressure. But the thing about this is that we're seeing declining volume, generally speaking, on and across this double top formation. And in fact, we recently saw a breakout on the volume bar right over here at this 26k region, which is quite interesting, but still declining volume in the sell side volume bars here. We are still seeing seller volume come in right over here, but 26k is still holding. We're not really seeing those sell side exhaustion levels just yet. We need a bit more seller volume to come in to give us a bit more indication that we won't be dropping a little bit lower. So right over here, this is where we've seen the sell side volume that has promoted price reversals, as you can see, early March, late February. Also right over here, this seller volume promoted a dip buying opportunity, and here as well, mid-June reversal. But we're actually falling short from these levels, from the orange level, from those mid-June levels in terms of seller exhaustion. We're not quite there yet, and we don't have that seller exhaustion volume bars just yet showing us that we're going to see sellers get exhausted and buyers finally step in. Of course, 26k is holding as a support, and if we do see some sort of rebound, as we've seen most recently, this cluster of bull market moving averages at around 27k to 27,650, this is a cluster of resistance that we might see at these bull market moving averages. This cluster of bullish momentum indicators and moving averages, the 50-week blue EMA, the orange 200-week moving average, and the green 21-week exponential moving average. This forms a cluster of moving averages which might be acting as a resistance in the short term because we weekly closed below them, losing them effectively as support, and now we're seeing the very first signs of Bitcoin rebounding a bit and actually flipping this cluster of resistance, this cluster of moving averages into a new resistance. And this is the sort of cluster that can actually weigh down on price and force a move below 26k, especially since we might see perhaps some sort of relief in the short term as we're seeing right now. But if this cluster continues to weigh down on price, we might see a bit more influx of sell side volume, and it would be interesting to see if we get that influx of sell side volume. We'd probably see a breakdown of the double top, and if that indeed occurs, then we'll probably see a measured move down to 22k according to the double top. So we know about this double top formation, we know about this cluster of moving averages which can actually potentially weigh down so much on 26k that we will finally get that breakdown and we might see seller exhaustion occur at lower price levels. But what is this retrace all about? What is this retrace enabling for us? And that's dollar cost averaging opportunities as we get closer to the halving, and we might be seeing Bitcoin in a current macro range from 3600 to around 16k. And I talk about this macro range in a lot more detail in this video right over here, so feel free to click on that one, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.